All
So
right.
obviously, welcome to the show because I got Hart
Finally.
Fisher with me. So welcome finally to the show.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. You can hear me, right?
Dude, I can finally hear you, bro. I can
So
hear you
yes, so
now.
yes, I finally have Hart Fisher now on, and we are in full effect, and it's getting exciting. And so I kind of want to talk about who you are because some people know who you are, some people don't. I was making the joke that you're the most dangerous man in comics, and how did you even get that title? Because I think it's super interesting what you've done, and I'm a free speech absolutist, so I love what you've done.
Yeah, it's kind of funny this day and age that we live in because, the notion of fake news was I lived fake news before there was a term coined for it. I had CNN turn my life upside down. I had the mass media completely lie about me, lie about my work, lie about my associates, lie about my education, just a big bunch of lying bastards. And I'll tell you, CNN was the worst. So, how did I get the name the most dangerous man in comics? Well, I got that by being a free speech advocate, by being a First Amendment champion. My work has literally been banned. My short story, A Taste of Cherry, I co wrote with Christian Moore from Veronica #4, is still banned as obscene material to this day in the state of Oklahoma. And I did the Jeffrey Dahmer books. I've done so much work that is seen to elicit a reaction. And the funny thing is people all act like I'm trying to be some kind of edge lord or something, and that just isn't how this stuff works. If I knew how to manufacture controversy, I'd do it. I would do it if I knew how to manufacture it. Hell yeah, I'd go get that payday. I get that payday. I would go get that payday. But a controversy like the Dahmer books or controversy like A Taste of Cherry, those are all the reactions of the audience. That's the reaction of the audience driving that. That is somebody else with an agenda. Somebody has a political view they're going to use this to espouse. So in the early days of comics, well, not early days, but in the 90s, there was a lot more magazines publishing. There was Fan, there was Combo, you had Wizard, you had Hero Illustrated, and Hero Illustrated did their top 100 most important people in the industry. And this was my second year of publishing, and I believe they listed me at either number 72 or number 74. And they coined the phrase. They were the ones that called me the most dangerous man in comics because no one could stop, no one could silence me. I was out there fighting for the First Amendment every step of the way at conventions across the country, dealing with censorship in all kinds of weird ways. Different states had different social mores that they didn't want on your table, dealing with censorship from the San Diego Comic-Con. So that's how I got the name the most dangerous man in comics. And I also, there are no sacred cows for me. There's no sacred cows. Everything is fair game. Everything is fair game. Everything is fair game. And that's the thing that we're seeing now with this limitation on speech and the notion of cancel culture and the notion of, one of the most insidious things that's happened is fascism is here. We're seeing actual fascism. Fascism is when you have corporations in league with government to dominate the public. And that's what we have right now. You have MasterCard and Visa who control almost, it's like 98% of all credit card transactions are from MasterCard and Visa, and they are using their ability to turn off your funding to censor people. And we saw that with the Freedom Convoy in Canada, and we've been seeing that now where Facebook was all about monitoring everybody's hate speech, but it's okay to have hate speech if they say it's all right to hate the Russians. Hate speech is wrong, man. So it's a really crazy clown world that we live in right now.
Yeah, and to even talk about that, because I'm a free speech guy. Obviously, I had Dennis Kitchen on, the Comic Book Legal Defense Fund. I am not a fan of speech being, limited. I've been talking about what happened with Mouse for legitimately a decade, and people thought I was crazy. And then what just happened, and I think it was either Iowa or Kentucky, or it was Tennessee,
I
actually.
think it was Tennessee.
And I'm like, where have you all been? And everybody's up in arms. And I'm like, where have you all been? And so obviously, you wrote the Jeffrey Dahmer comic and the unauthorized biography of a serial killer, and then you were doing the rounds. And all these people were trying to stop you. And what was that even like? Because I read the book and I didn't think it painted him in any favorable light. I didn't think it was for or against him. I thought it was pretty just telling a story and telling what Jeffrey Dahmer is and what to avoid with a serial killer.
When I did the Jeffrey Dahmer comic book, it wasn't even my idea. For free speech fans, the publisher of Faust, the original publisher of Faust, Dan Matson at North Star Studios, well, he was a childhood friend of mine. Me and Dan went to kindergarten and like grade school and, you know, junior high together. And Dan and I were always trying to get into comic books. You know, we always wanted to do comics. And he had gotten out of the industry. He left the industry. Him and Dave and Tim, they had a bad breakup, which was kind of a bummer to see because I liked everybody. And so they had a really ugly parting, and Dan kind of took off out of the industry. And so one day I got a phone call and he's like, "Hey, you know, Hart, have you been paying attention to the Kitty Kelly unauthorized biography of Nancy Reagan controversy?" And I was like, "No, I haven't. Not really. I mean, I'm aware of it, but I haven't been paying attention to it." He goes, "What about this serial killer, Jeffrey Dahmer? Have you heard of him?" And honestly, I have done a ton of research on sociopaths, serial killers, the criminal mind, white collar crime, political crime. You know, other people will talk about QAnon. I'm going to read Bob Woodward's The Veil. You get what I mean? I'm going to read real books. I'm going to read real investigative journalism to get to the truth of the matter. And this particular thing, Dan's like, you should really do a series of these. You should do a series of unauthorized biographies of serial killers. And I was pretty bored with serial killers at that point. I thought the genre had been done to death. And then I started checking into it and looking at how the mass media was covering him. And I was pretty sickened by it. They were really ginning him up. They were really selling him as sexy, as intriguing. Oh my God. Because that's the thing that folks forget is all this serial killer mania and all this true crime mania was started by like Time Life books. You know what I mean? It's mainstream media that drove this stuff. It's mainstream media that created this controversy. Some reporter in Milwaukee bought the Jeffrey Dahmer book at a comic book store, and then he ambush interviewed the victims' families at their home. He went up to their home and just banged on the door, cameras rolling, jamming the comic book in their face. I mean, dude, that's really disgusting. To me, that's disgusting. I mean, the book really it came and it didn't really generate any controversy because my goal with the book was to show what a piece of crap Dahmer was and to show what a sad, pathetic individual he was and how sickened I was by the mainstream media's coverage of it. Like People magazine putting him Dahmer in their top 25 most intriguing people of 1991. That's a child rapist, assholes. That's a child rapist that you're celebrating and you're marketing. And that's what these guys do. They market the outrage culture. And now that's merged with social media and online. So you get this outrage culture and you get these mass cyber bullies that are going to go shut people down. Well, hey, fuckhole. I already had a protest march on my house. I've had death threats on my life. I've had my house robbed multiple times. And I'm still here and I'm still publishing and I never quit and I never fucking will.
Yeah, to even talk about that, and obviously, I mean, I think you know who Marilyn Manson was, and Marilyn Manson said about Columbine, he said, well, they were on the magazine, those two people were on the magazine, and you gave them exactly what they wanted. And, you know, a lot of the ways is that, isn't it the whole thing that the media has no problem publicizing anything and everything as long as it sells ads, it sells money, and makes ratings, and it's all that shit. And now when you factor in social media, it's almost like, you know, they gotta, I guess, make the dollar in a lot of ways. They don't give a fuck how many people they ruin in a lot of ways.
No, they don't care. They don't care. They don't care at all. Like the Dahmer book and the controversy of it had a huge effect on my family. You know, my mother worked for the Department of Public Aid in Chicago. So my mom was the welfare lady. So they portrayed me as a racist and a misogynist. And it got so bad that she couldn't tell people at work who her son was. So the ladies she worked with started to think that they started creating rumors about who my mom's kids really were. And the big one was that she had 2 illegitimate black children. And it's just like, it really had this effect on my life and my family and my relationships with my girlfriends. It was extraordinarily negative. extraordinarily negative. And the thing that you have to understand is they created it. You know, when I was on a Faith Daniels show, she's stewing up the audience and she shows them a thing in the book and she goes, I can't show you everything in this book, but I could show you this. And it's the most gory thing in the whole book. It's a shot of some heads in the refrigerator, and that's what Dahmer did. He kept heads in the fridge. So it's a bio book, but they manipulate people and they lie. And on those talk shows, you'd be backstage and they would shoot 2 or 3 of these in a day, and you would just see people destroyed, man. You would just see family after family just destroyed, crying, upset. It was really, really disturbing and disgusting. And if you look at, there's a really good book I would like for everybody to read. It's called, it was given to me by Dr. Savage. Dr. Savage is a psychologist I work with. She's a war veteran from Afghanistan. And she gave me this book. It's called The Gift of Fear. And it's all about threat assessment, how fear is used to manipulate you, and we've definitely seen that during the COVID lockdowns and such. They used fear-based provocation to make everybody afraid to speak out, afraid to ask questions, afraid, all the shit that you should be doing in America, all the stuff that you should be doing when you're dealing with power, when you're dealing about a medical procedure with your body. You should be questioning about what's going to happen to my body, what's going to happen to my child's body, what is going to happen to my wife's body, my mother's body. Those are all legitimate questions. And in The Gift of Fear, one of the things they talk about is the notion of these school shootings and these mass shootings. And it makes a very solid case for the responsibility in the mass media of marketing and selling these events and creating more of these events by giving these actors what they want. They're giving these psychopaths a platform. They're making them scary and mysterious. Ooh, it's the latest shooter. And they'll leave out the fact that they're on psychoactive medications that make you more crazy. Or maybe they have a weird past involving, I don't know, the military, you know, because some of these shooters have been either active military or retired military. And so there's a real responsibility on the part of the mass media for creating this stuff, but they're doing it by design. They're doing it on purpose. They're totally doing it on purpose. Folks, you got to remember, hi, I'm Hart D Fisher, the man behind the curtain, and I've been running my own television network since 2011. That's right. American Horrors has been on since 2011. I've been working in the broadcast industry and the television industry since the early 2000s. I left comics to go into TV production, to go into music video directing, to go into filmmaking, and to go into television. So I know stuff because I'm the man behind the curtain. I'm the guy who's hanging out having a beer with the advertisers. I know these people. I've had these discussions with these executives at these companies. So, folks, they don't care about you. They don't have your best interest at heart. It's all a shuck and jive. It's bullshit.
Yeah, there's a lot to even dive into there. And obviously you were on Jerry Springer and you were on all these other shows, obviously Larry King. And one of the things that I think was really instrumental and why I respect you, and obviously I'm a free speech guy. I believe I'm a free speech absolutist. It's what I'm willing to die for. And you were actually calling it out. And you've been calling it out for almost 30 years now. And that's the thing that why, and I think people, you know, if you haven't looked at Jerry Springer and looked at when you were on Larry King, and there was a few others, you know, Jesse, Sally, Raphael, I want to think.
Yeah, Sally, Jesse, Raphael.
Yeah, I get the names mixed up. You know, it was a little bit before my time. I'm only 29. But
they're on YouTube. If anybody wants to see these talk shows, they're on my YouTube channel. It's youtube.com/crime pays Hart, H-A-R-T. And you could see, and I definitely recommend the Sally Jesse video because I eviscerate her within a minute and a half of me getting on the air.
I mean, it was bloody, dude. It was bloody. I mean, it was very, very satisfying to watch because you could just see that she wasn't expecting it. And I mean, but also it's that thing where it's almost pure because it's just like, you ever have a moment where you just say something so true that an entire room goes quiet and everybody knows it to be true? Because that won't happen once in your life.
That happened on the Sally Jesse show. On the Sally Jesse show, and I nailed her for her hypocrisy. of the idea that my 4,000 print run comic book was exploiting the victims' families while she's making millions off of frozen orange juice during the show, and she's ripping open their wounds and exposing them to more negative attention, more trauma. And you know, they did that for their own profit, and they just it's a tragic circus that they do, and they don't care about their guests at all. And guys, I was never paid to be on those shows. The people that were yelling and screaming at me were paid to be there, okay? So they were profiting at a significant rate. You could see one of the people that have been going after me for a while, Janetta Robinson, you can see her wardrobe getting better every appearance. Oh my God, man. Oh my God. And then when I did A Taste of Cherry for Danzig, and the whole industry just flipped out on that book, because it's about a snuff film. And they just flipped out on this 10-page story. And I couldn't believe why they were freaking out. I just like, what's going on here? I'm a Stephen King fan. I grew up reading King and Mickey Spillane and James M. Cain and Raymond Chandler, all these great, incredible writers. And you know, for this 10-page story about a snuff film, they have everybody's panties in a wad. What are you kidding me? My dad read the Sun-Times at the morning paper every, you know, breakfast I had with Pop. He's got that paper open. When he was done, he gave it to me and I'd read the paper. And guess what, folks? Human beings are pretty mean to each other. Yeah, they are. They're pretty mean to each other. Yeah.
And to even go into all this too, because obviously you got the Dahmer book, you got Taste of Cherry. And why do you think people were going after you and flipping out? Because I mean, I've read, obviously, I didn't read Taste of Cherry, but again, I mean, it's a comic book and it's not revealing anything new. It's not all that controversial in reality. And why do you think people just flip the fuck out? Because to me, it just seems that it's not a big deal per se what you did. Not to be like disrespectful, but
No,
they almost made it a big deal, I feel.
they did. They manufactured the controversy. You know, every time when I tried to do something that was going to be, oh yeah, he's just trying to be shocking, that shit never flew, you know. And some of the other books I did were far more evil and nasty. The books we did with Brad Moore, Cadaver, that got banned by Quebecor in Canada. We did a book called Snuff with the story written by Richard Ramirez, the Night Stalker. No one seemed to give a damn about that. We had another book called Rough Trade, and this serial killer kidnaps a woman and starves her to death because he only feeds her his enema water. Some really weird stuff, you know, and no one seemed to flip out over that. They seemed to flip out over what I would feel is more commonplace. But I would say that the writing that I've had throughout my career, I'm good at hitting a nerve. My writing is very good at leaving an emotional infliction. And there's a lot of great artists out there now that are afraid to go out and do what they want to do. And we can see that right now with what happened with Jim Rugg and his alternative cover to Red Room. I don't know if you've heard about that, but Jim did a cover involving Mouse. He did a variant, because they do these variant covers and they'll do like these homages to old classic covers or characters. And Jim is an amazingly talented artist. I mean, this guy is just really good and a real nice guy. And so one of the variants for Red Room, Ed Pisker's book, have you heard of Red Room?
I haven't heard of that either. I feel so ignorant.
Gore-soaked thing about online torture rooms. I've been following it and curious to see when someone's gonna, you know, start squealing. And so he did a variant cover involving Mouse. And like you said, he wanted to make a statement. And these guys are trying to sell themselves as outlaw comics. And he just recently yanked the cover, yanked it down, yanked it off the internet, went out and offered a big apology. And I think that's a mistake. And the reason I think it's a mistake is because you stated that you wanted to be outlaw. You made a statement, I'm here to do outlaw comics. And you made a piece of art that was designed to be provocative. This piece of art was thought about and designed to provoke the viewer. So when you get the reaction that you designed the art for, then you apologize for the reaction you got. You are castrating your art, and in a way, you're bitch slapping your audience. Do you get what I mean? You must.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because once you say I'm sorry, I mean, this is my take on it. The mob never forgets. There's no such thing as an apology. You know,
No.
If you are having a bad day and your girl brings you a beer and you smack it out of the hand, you know, you could say I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do that. That's a little different. That's a personal thing, right? In a relationship, or you could say, hey, I'm sorry, I'm late by 5 minutes. That can be forgiven. But if you cross the line and then you say I'm sorry when you didn't mean it, because I don't necessarily think, and I don't know this entire thing, but I'm going out on a limb here. I don't think Jim meant his apology. I just think he didn't want the reaction or the mob destroying him or tampering his business or affecting, or there's other external pressures in his business.
And you know what's sad is the cover that he drew is really good. It's a really good cover. It makes a great statement, you know. And this outrage culture is always going to be looking for appeasement. And the problem with being offensive is that there's no fucking way for you to know who's going to be offended by what. You really don't. You don't know. I honestly had no clue the Dahmer book was going to blow up like that. It didn't. I had no clue that the 10-page story, A Taste of Cherry and Veronica 4, was going to get a store shut down and upend two guys' lives because of some politically motivated prosecutors in Oklahoma who targeted me in my book. They even seized like the Mighty Morphin Rump Rangers, a comedy book about, you know, the monsters are all trying to butt fuck the Power Rangers. You know what I mean? Because they got nice butts. And it's this weird thing where they did this politically. They wanted to do this for their own political gain. And so this becomes a lever for what's your political motive? What are you using this to drive for? What's your legislation you want to get passed? Do you need to get more attention for yourself? Because at a certain point, I became like a label. I became a brand. And so people would jump on the offense culture and the outrage culture, and they jump on it because if you said, oh yeah, that Hart Fisher, what an edgelord jagoff, they go, yeah, oh yeah, what an edgelord jagoff, oh yeah. And it just, you become a brand, and you become like this safe target. The government or the social influencers or the whatever the latest literati critics that are in charge of all the highfalutin stuff at the Comics Journal, they pick a target, and then the dummies all go, oh, it's okay for me to be mean to this? Okay. Oh, it's okay for me to say Russophobia? It's okay for me to do hate speech against the Russians because Facebook said hate speech is okay against these guys? Dude, come on.
Yeah, because it gets tricky, and then obviously, I mean, to go down the entire realm of freedom of speech, I mean, you know, whatever speech you use against one person can obviously be used against you at some point, and it will be, but just by nature, it's the way the circle goes. And
it's very true. That's why censorship is so dangerous. Censorship, and everybody has forgotten this, that the most important speech to protect is the speech that is the most marginalized. And I agree with Joe Rogan in that if you get some idiot Nazi guy spewing Nazi bullshit, let that idiot talk. Let that moron talk so everybody knows, hey, that guy's a moron. And if other people are following the racist moron, you go, well, what are you? Are you a racist moron too? Let them identify themselves instead of keeping it in the closet.
There's a saying in Milo Yiannopoulos, and that's somewhat of a dirty word. He basically said, all you have to do is give them enough rope, and they'll hang themselves.
That's what I've said all along. Yeah, give them enough rope, and they will.
I mean, you know, and look, I'm not a fan of Nazis. I don't like Nazis, you know, but I think one of the greatest cases was the ACLU case, that the ACLU basically fought for the Nazis to march in Skokie, Illinois. And the reason why I say that's a great case is because that basically protected every person's right to peacefully march in America. So if you have an abortion issue, you care about the environment, you now have that right to march.
How about
that's
this?
a good position.
if you want to march for, let's say, transgender rights, you have every right to do this safely. How about that? So that you could do this safely, you could express yourself, you could express your opinion, and if people get in line, good. If they don't, don't. I'm really bothered by the thought police and the stick they're using now, and especially this notion of it's okay for government censorship if it's from a private corporation. That's truly fiendishly frightening. The way that Twitter censored a president. Now, I'm gonna say this. I never voted for Trump, you assholes. But the fact that they censored a sitting president is disgusting. It's completely against everything America's about. I have a lot of war veteran friends. One of the guys who's running my network, Max DeVille, he has a comic book company, Atrocity Press, and he's got a book called Mary Machine Gun, and he's doing a lot of these ninja bimbos versus aliens types of stuff. In fact,
great book. I love
it going right now. So if you want to get behind a cool new chaos styled company, definitely get behind Atrocity Press. Definitely check out Max DeVille's stuff. He's got this Kickstarter. I think it's up in like a week, you know. And he was a war vet, and he swore an oath to protect the Constitution, and he took it seriously. And he wears wounds. He's got wounds in his legs, and you get what I'm saying. The guy put everything on the line for our country and these rights and fought for them. And these candy asses are all too willing to bend over and give it up. What's wrong with you? Our fathers and our forefathers and grandfathers fought for this and bled for this and died for this. And yours what? Well, it's okay if it's YouTube. It's okay if it's Twitter. Private corporation.
You had Jerry Springer when he had you on saying you could just stop. And, it's hurting people. And, why do you want to not hurt people? And it was the most ridiculous thing. And look, whether you agree politically or not with Jerry Springer or even agree his entire crazy ass show that he ran for 25 years plus, one of the things is that, it's the idea that Jerry Springer is a smart guy in a lot of ways. And it's kind of crazy that he wanted to not governmentally censor you, but he wanted to censor you through the mob, which is the other form of censorship, which is just as terrifying as government censorship. And then the government did try to censor you through the courts, and that didn't work.
They threatened me too. When I was publishing Michael Diana's work, and Michael Diana is America's only comic book artist to go to jail for his work, the police did threaten me. They threatened to go after me for creating and distributing obscene materials across state lines. And I felt strongly that I could beat it in court. I knew that my people could put on a better face to this art in the trial than Mike could. Mike's not the best public speaker. He just isn't that good of a public speaker. And what happened to Mike was a travesty. It really is sickening what happened to Michael Diana. So it's been like the whole protest march, on these talk shows, while they're busy belittling me and calling me a scumbag, when you're on these talk shows, all right, I'm a victim of violence. I, Hart Fisher, am a victim of violence. I am a victim of violent crime. I have been assaulted and battered. I have been sexually assaulted and battered, okay? I have had my loved ones murdered, all right? I've had loved ones die throughout my entire life. So when they're sitting up there saying you wouldn't do this if you lost a loved one, well, hey, fucktard, I lost a lot of my loved ones throughout my entire life. And it's part of why I've been so forceful, because I know how short life is. And if you live life for others, you're not living it for yourself, and you can't be happy. If you spend all your time trying to make someone else happy, they're in control of your happiness, and it's arbitrary, because there's just no way for you to know every time of the day how. I was married for 17 years, guys, until my wife passed in 2018. So I know a little bit about getting along with your wife. And I had a good marriage. I had a happy marriage. I loved my wife madly. And we discussed a lot of what we were doing. And she was Japanese. And we discussed a lot of how are we going to handle this situation? What do we want to do? When I got out of comics and got involved with American Horrors and became a official horror host of the network, we had a discussion. Are we going to do this angry thug Boneyard Press guy, or where are we going with this? What are we doing? And we made a decision. Well, we want to have fun. We want to have a good time. We want to have fun with this. And so I shed a lot of that darkness. And you know, I was dealing with murder trials at that point in time. The public, while they're screaming at me, how could you write a taste of cherry like that? Because my girlfriend was raped and murdered and shot in the face with a fucking shotgun. And I had to go through 10 years of murder trials at a sex crimes trial and deal with the guy who killed my woman and look at that guy in the face fucking every couple of years. Do you know how crazy that makes you? Do you know how insane that makes you? You try to get your fucking life back together and every wound is ripped apart while you got these douchebags all going, how could you write that 10-page story? What the fuck is wrong with you? I wrote it for therapy. I've had several of my loved ones raped. I wrote that stuff because it's based on shit I've seen happen in the real world. That's why I write the horror I write. That's why that stuff is so intense. That's why I make a fucking mark, because it's based on the real shit. You know what I mean? The real stuff that happens.
Oh, I know.
And
I've
that's
been
why
down to dark places, and I know exactly what you're referring to. In which that sometimes we do things for ourselves, and then we choose to share it with the world, versus the world making us share it with them. And I was actually going to ask you, because it's kind of a crazy circumstance where they're basically attacking you and you're running Boneyard Press. You're dealing with all this crazy shit. You know, obviously you're losing a loved one. And then at the same time, they're only looking at the surface and they're almost picking the easy fruit, for lack of a better word, not realizing all the other shit, the 95% of what it actually means, and diving deeper. Because once you start diving deeper, you start saying, wait a second, this isn't what it looks like it is.
Yeah. And I kept a lot of my wounds to myself because I didn't, how do I phrase this? I was trying to keep my wounded ones out of that meat grinder. I wanted to keep them away from the press so they wouldn't get savaged. You know what I mean? And right when I started Boneyard Press, my girlfriend, my coworker raped her, you know, and then my next girlfriend, she was kidnapped out of her apartment, nearly beat to death and raped. And then my girlfriend after that, Michelle, was raped and murdered in a motel robbery. And that all happened within about a year and a half of each other, within about a year and a half, 2 years of each other. I just went through this really insanely violent, dark period. And that's why the books were so intense. And that's why my work is so intense. And if you want to get a deeper peek into my brain, I highly recommend picking up the buildable Omnibus. We're getting ready to go to print with it. And as I read the book and I'm putting the book together, the work is just knocking me out. I'm like, wow, I can't believe I wrote this stuff. It's really, really intense. Or Poems for the Dead, my poetry books, Poems for the Dead, Still Dead. Those are intense books to read. And I would highly recommend people seek that material out.
Yeah, to even talk about that, you know, obviously when we write real, and, you know, I write and I don't want to publish anything for at least a while, but I find writing to be very therapeutic when you're going through a lot of dark shit. You know, obviously I had a very rough surgery that did not go in the right way. And when you're pushing a morphine button, no more can come out and you're throbbing in pain. It changes exactly who you are. You see how dark shit is. And you're just lying in a hospital bed and there's nothing they can do for you. And you're not dying, but you don't know what the fuck's going to happen. And every fucking second feels like an eternity. It's a fucked up place to be.
Yeah,
I can't describe it to somebody unless you've been there.
I was for Christmas. I think it was 6th or 7th grade, maybe 5th. It was right when my parents were getting divorced. I had a staph infection. I had hit a rusty sprinkler playing Johnny Tackle with my friends, you know, kill the guy with the football. And I had a staph infection and my chin blew up like a frog, like a big frog. I was in agony. And I was in the hospital throughout the entire Christmas vacation, you know, 2 weeks. And it was a nightmare. And I didn't find out till I was in my 30s that I was supposed to die. I wasn't supposed to live.
Oh, it's complicated, but like the whole thing is, but when I write from that place, and I mean, it took me years. I was 17. It took me about 6 years to get out of that dark, very cynical
Mm-hmm.
place, the
Mm-hmm.
long road out of hell. It is a very interesting position, and some of the shit that I have from that time, just in writing and thought processes. I mean, it's a whole different human being,
Mm-hmm.
and it's the idea that people say, do you have the intent to kill or do you have the ability to kill? And or the instinct to kill. And that's almost what I equate it to. And
Well, I got
so
to tell you, as a martial arts practitioner, I started in 1987 at Champaign, Illinois, training in Taekwondo. And as you train with people, there's a different energy. Like I started with Taekwondo. My head instructor, Sung Lee, he was from the Korean Army demonstration team for Taekwondo. He was a professor in political science. He was a brilliant, brilliant man. And training with him, we were learning a very different kind of Taekwondo than other people were. We were learning this military Taekwondo, and he made a point of telling us, "Hey, this isn't to go out and hurt people. This is to defend yourself, and you got to keep that in mind." And as my career went on, and I moved to Los Angeles, and I got involved with Gokor Chavicyan and Gene LeBell over at his Hayastan Academy. Hey, Gok, I miss you, buddy. Doing judo, jujitsu, Russian sambo. What did Gene say? Gene used to always say, "You beat him with what the other guy doesn't know. Whatever works." And they would bring in different instructors, different guest instructors. And when you would work with somebody, like I got to train with some Navy SEALs, and training with those guys, holy shit, fuck. That was different than training with your normal martial arts person. Or I've got a friend of mine, war vet, and I don't know if he's going to be comfortable with me naming him on the air, but I've got this friend of mine, and he was explaining to me how he had a guy try to stab him when he was in Iraq, and how he stabbed him, how he disarmed him and stabbed him. And it was very different. Like him showing me wasn't like normal training. It wasn't like normal training at all. He had a different look in his eye, and it was intense. It was a different energy. You get what I mean?
Oh, I know exactly what you mean. Where it's even just the thought process. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't walk the same as everybody else. I have a hard time walking. My feet don't operate
Mm-hmm.
correctly. And there was this because I used to do martial arts,
Oh, okay.
and I was trained by somebody who was very good and understood that. And then his best friend also worked there, and he taught me a bunch of things that I shouldn't have learned. But no, 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 no. But the idea is that it's the type of shit that'll save your life. And so now he's teaching me how to like mess people's arms up in different ways. And you could tell the energy and the thought process and even the psychology was different. That, and I remember a lot of the stuff he was teaching me, like how to twist somebody's arm and then hit it in a certain place so it makes it spasm out, or what to do. So, but
How
yeah.
to break somebody's arm when they grab your pretty blonde hair.
Well, I am a blonde. This is all dyed. So, but I know the exact feeling, and you could tell when you're with somebody who just understands a different level. And I don't know how to explain that. It's like a weird thing in life. Like there's just people that you get a sense that like, okay, we're going down this path, and we're different than everybody else.
My one of my training partners there, one of my main training partners for a while, and I'm going to say something about my training. Like throughout the 90s, with my anger and my rage and all the conflict I was involved in, the training was different. I was very angry, and I was training in a different way and weightlifting in a different way. And then when my wife got cancer in 2006, I had to leave training because I was her sole caregiver. So during her recovery from cancer, I couldn't train because I couldn't afford an injury. Because I've been injured doing this stuff. I've broken ankles, broken bones in my hands. I've got a broken rib. I've had my face split open. I've had some injuries. Rib cartilage torn. That was a fun one. They had to drag me off the mat on that one. Sensei George was demonstrating a technique on how to separate the ribs with the point of your elbow. and it tore my rib cartilage, and they had to kind of like drag me off the mat. But when you play hard, you know, those things are going to happen. Sensei George, he's one of those guys I would talk about being super intense and different, because he was a correctionals officer at Bakersfield. So as a person working in a prison, his shit was tight. And then Rui, he was a SWAT guy, and he would execute high risk warrants. So working with Rui was great. Training with Rui, I mean, these guys were all fantastic. I missed training with them so much. But when I left for a couple years, and frankly, dealing with my wife's illness and dealing with some of the betrayals in my life at that point in time, it kind of beat the piss out of me. It beat a lot of the anger out, you know, and especially her last bout when she was dying of colon cancer that last year in 17 and 18, it just beat all the anger out of me. It just wrung me dry. And so when I went back to training and I started training again with the guys, I was going for fun. I was going because I missed the dudes. I missed my friends, and I was going to train with my friends and have a good time, you know? And then all of a sudden I got way fucking better. I got way better, man. When I let go of the anger and I was just having a good time and just like, we're going to go wrestle in the sandbox. I had a blast. I had so much fun, and I got way better. My technique was better. I was more relaxed. It was just, everything was better.
That's so interesting. Yeah, no, it's I was never angry during training. I found it actually quite relaxing. I find that sparring is relaxing, weapon stuff is relaxing. I love kata because during katas, it's just peaceful and it's thinking, and like my brain is just relaxed. So it's just
I like kata. I really like kata. Kata's great. A lot of people don't like doing the forms and stuff, but guys, you do that to get the muscle memory going. That's what you do it for. It's about muscle memory, and it's about meditation. It's about learning to breathe. So that's why you do your forms, dummy.
But it's so interesting because I found it peaceful, and you know, I hated gym class when I was in high school, but I loved martial arts, and I wish that I could have got out of gym class and then went to martial arts. And I was going like 4 or 5 times a week because I loved it. It's like maybe like 5 miles away from my house, and it was just such a wonderful experience. And also, when I joined the adult class, you know, when I was in like 9th grade, and that was the other thing too, is that now I'm surrounded by adults. So it's just like one of those things where it's just like now you're at a different level, and that was what was great about it. So very, very cool thing. And yeah, no, I don't know how to explain that either to people unless you've done it and been there.
A good thing too about doing the martial arts and fighting for so long, I've been dodging violence. Like, you know, the bars here in Lake Geneva are pretty violent. I got to be honest with you. I've seen a lot of fist fights over the dumb drunk guys that didn't get the girl they wanted, so they're going to fight with each other. And I've seen guys punch out women. I've seen women punch out dudes. It's really kind of nutty out here. And I mean, I love the town. I love the town, but sometimes the bar scene can get nutty. And I'm glad that I'm past that. I'm glad that I don't have any desire to prove myself. I don't need to be, I'm the cooler. I don't need to do any of that. And I just want to get along. I'm fine. I'm here to have a good time. I have no interest in dominating anybody in the bar. I just want to have a drink. I just want to talk to some cool people. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm at that stage in my life too, where I just don't want to be an asshole. Like I've gotten to the stage where,
oh no, I don't mind being an asshole. I could be an asshole, be a big screaming asshole, but I just don't want to like get into fist fights with people and be getting into trouble like that. Especially not for me doing American Horrors, doing horror production and doing the production I do for the television network. I have to work with the police. I have to say, hey, you know, Officer Ed, we're going to be at the park and we're going to have a guy with a machete chasing a guy in an Easter bunny costume down the beach. Please don't shoot us. We're making this movie here. Hi, I'm Hart Fisher from American Horrors, and we're going to be here from this time to this time. And you have to. You want to make sure that nobody gets hurt. You know, you want to make sure the police are safe, that your crew is safe, that bystanders are safe. So I work with the parking department. I got to say, the city's been really cool to me. Lake Geneva, everybody here, thank you guys. These people really got me up off my feet after my wife's death. I was devastated. And I really owe them a debt of gratitude. They really helped me. They really, a lot of good people here. And people want to make fun of Wisconsin and the land of the serial killers, but there's so many talented people here. Hey, Dieter, hope you're watching. My good buddy Matthew Stratton, hope you're watching. All my whole crew at American Horrors, you know, the Hobbit and Abby and Sean and Max and everybody that's working with me, they're doing great job.
Now, who's this Max DeVille guy again?
Max DeVille. Yeah, who is this guy?
I'm joking. Clearly. Mm-hmm. I just saw Max earlier today.
Do you live in town by him? Do you live in Kansas?
No.
You saw him online.
What?
Did you see him online or did you see him in the flesh?
I saw him online.
Oh, okay.
I was on a stream and it was great. It's always great to see Max, because Max is responsible for this. So if there's any complaints, blame Max, not me.
You know, it's funny, man. What's funny is sitting here and we get together, me and Max. Okay, we travel. Well, you know, I spend a week at his house. He'll come out here and spend a week with me in the compound. We have a little company kayfabe, and we get together and we discuss the business. And we're away from everybody. We're away from family. We're just here to like relax and have like a corporate retreat. And so we're watching American Horrors, and it was so funny. He was so proud of himself because he's the head of tech for American Horrors. So he is so damn proud of himself that our American Horrors channel is streaming way better than anybody else. He's like, yeah, fuck you, Spike TV. It's so funny. We're watching some big pay-per-view and it keeps bogging out. He's like, yeah, see, you suck. You suck. So funny. All right, I'm going to give you one of my best Max stories right now. All right, so Max he hasn't been to the new place. I just had to move. I had a mold situation at the old property. So I'm in a new place. Max hasn't been here yet, but we're at the old place. And it's me and Trike Chemnitz, a.k.a. The Hobbit, who runs Comic Alley in downtown Lake Geneva. Fantastic comic book store. If you're looking for killer back issues, you want to find an old Fangoria, you want to find an old Creepy or Eerie or Vampirella, he's got them. He's got a great store. He's a fun guy. And he's there 6 days a week, so you'll probably run into him. So Max is over, and we're sitting around, and we're like, we give Max the flipper. So Max is doing the flipper, and it comes up on Saving Private Ryan, and the guy goes, hey, how about we watch Saving Private Ryan and see how long it takes for my PTSD to kick in? Ha-ha! And me and Chuck are like, no, bad idea, dude. No, let's not do that. But we did. We watched it. You'll find out with through time what happens with war veterans is they can watch a war movie, just not a war movie about their war.
I can believe that. I worked in a few VSOs when I was down in DC. I worked for the Veterans of Foreign Wars and Student Veterans of America. Mm-hmm. And so obviously the VFW deals with very interesting things, and Student Veterans is a little bit more fun, in my opinion, because we only deal with students. And
well, you know, it's kind of funny. Throughout my career, I've gravitated to and found military people gravitating to me. Like military folks just gravitate to what I'm doing and my free speech values. They like my free speech values. And so, you know, Max, he was a sergeant. My lawyer in Los Angeles, he was a sergeant in the Marine Corps. My doctor, Dr. Savage, highly placed in the Army. A lot of my friends and friends from the martial arts community. And also I know a lot of police officers, and I know a lot of first responders, and I got a lot of friends that are EMTs.
The way I describe military, so I was working and I was in an internship with student veterans, and then I was in a bad placement before. This is the difference between the two. The organization that I actually left because it was horrible, I didn't have a key fob, and the lights were up when I came in as an intern into the office. And the lights were, and a bunch of offices were dark, and then I'd come in, I'd be the first one there, and it was a horrible experience because you're walking into a job that the lights are off in. And you're the first person there, and you got to ring the doorbell because they don't trust you with a key fob. I then go to Student Veterans of America. The lights are on. I get a key fob day one, and if I got there before my boss, it was like, hey, good morning to me. And there was structure, order, and they treat their employees and they give their employees the ability and as much freedom as needed when I was at Student Veterans of America, because they trust and everything worked. And also there was more money, more organization. And you could tell that, and I'm not mentioning the other company because I'm not going to speak favorably about them, but you could tell that Student Veterans was a well-operated machine. And it's how I've modeled my business to be a well-operated machine off of Student Veterans' model and the VFW's model, because it's just the way it is. And that's why I like military and why I like VSOs, because they work efficiently.
I don't know about efficiently.
Well, I didn't say the VA. I didn't say the VA.
I've heard my friends tell some stories, man. I've heard some stories, brother. So
I didn't say the VA. You have to understand that the VFW is not government.
Okay. No, I got you.
The Student Veterans of America is a lobby veteran advocacy organization that fights for legislation dealing with the GI Bill so veterans don't get fucked over on their education.
Good. That
protects that. And the VFW obviously protects veterans of foreign wars who served across seas. But they're not the VA. The VA is a fucking disaster. No question about it. And I don't need to ask because Max already told the story. So I know the whole
story. You know what, guys? I'm going to say something else, too. Again, I never voted for Trump, you bastards. But I'm told from my military friends that the VA got a lot better under Trump.
He did something very, very good for the veterans, where he actually got predatory lending with student GI Bills disqualified under his administration. Now, it wasn't just him solely, but that's a big win. And you don't have to like the president to understand that Congress helped with that, and it's the greatest thing that's been done in veterans in the last 4 years. And it's not a Democrat Republican thing. It is a good thing when people who serve our country do not go into debt when they want to get their education. That is
really
a good thing.
Have to give up on this blue state, red state bullshit. We really have to stop villainizing somebody you disagree with. We have to stop. You're not going to win somebody over to your point of view by demonizing them. You won't. We have to stop. We are all Americans. We are all human beings. We need to work together a little bit more and stop letting these corporate devices divide us. That's their game, divide and conquer. Okay, so right now we got all this stuff going on in Ukraine. Hey, who's getting richer? Oh, the oil guys. Oh, yeah, that's right. The oil guys are getting super wealthy. So why we Americans are going to suck a dick at the pump and our food is going to go up. All those people who make that shit are making more money. They're not losing any money, guys. How about in the furtherance of our country and us uniting together in an emergency, how about you fat cats give up some of that profit to help your fellow Americans or maybe your fellow human beings? How about that? Oh,
I'll go backwards with you. Look at fucking humanity in COVID. Toilet paper.
Oh, God.
Is all I'm going to say. That was beyond more disturbing than I think Ukraine, to be very honest. And that's not a corporate issue. That's a bare basic down where people were like fighting and punching each other in stores to get toilet paper.
Well,
that has disturbed me more than anything else in the last 3 years.
I wasn't disturbed by that behavior because you could see that every Thanksgiving as they drum up everybody's hysteria to rush for their sale for that cheap plastic television set. Oh, man. I tell you, brother, I think it's the perfect time for Boneyard Press to come back because it's uncompromising. As I'm going through the work, there's so much in the work that touches on what's happening now. There's so much stuff in the work that it's going to traumatize people. I'll admit it, man. There's some stuff in the Bill the Bull Omnibus that I'm like, I don't know how people are going to take this.
So we're going to get into that. But I have to ask you, how do you feel about Gerard Wayy?
Oh, Gary? Well, we all know he's a plagiarist. We all know he's a liar. He's a self. admitted liar. We know this. This is a public record. This is everything I've ever said. No one's ever come at me. No one's ever sued me. All the interviews I've given about him ripping me off, ripping off my poetry for the lyrics of My Chemical Romance. Hey, guys, I got a surprise for you when you go back on tour. Remember I was talking about lawyers? Hey, My Chemical Jagoff. Hey, you thought you got away with it. I'm waiting for you to go on tour. I've been talking to lawyers. I'm waiting. I'm so eager to see My Chemical Ripoff go on tour. Very eager. Get it together, boys. Make that money. Get it together based on the work you ripped off of me. It was Poems for the Dead and Still Dead. He ripped off the poetry. He altered the poems just enough. We were going to sue his ass off when I discovered this, but he sicked his fans on us, and it was affecting my wife's recovery from cancer. We already put the case together. We already had a federal trademark and copyright attorney on board. We already paid him his money. We were already putting the case together. My late wife had a degree in English. That's right, folks. Waka was a highly educated woman. And Waka sat down and she matched what poems got ripped off to what songs. And I have all that. I can document it all. And that's why you've never seen little Gerard Wayy ever address this.
There goes a bunch of my friends, but it's okay. So that you got to upgrade your friends.
Hey, guys, friends who are going to leave, he's a self-admitted liar, okay? I've known him since he was 15 years old. I was his mentor. And when he got rich and famous, I had an interesting talk with his girlfriend that he dumped after he got rich and famous. And she told me that she knew she was going to get dumped by him because of the way he treated his mentor and how he ripped his mentor off. Yeah, Gary, I've been working on this. I've been waiting for you to come back, Gary. And there's some other trouble coming Gary's way that he probably doesn't know about yet, but it's legal, and it's not from me. It's from somebody else he ripped off. And guess who's been helping their case? I have. Go on tour, Gary. Go on tour. I'm waiting for you, buddy. Can't wait.
Well, this is going to be fun. I guess you heard it here first. I guess I'm not getting an interview with him anytime soon. So
yeah, they were pretty nice to him on Cartoonist Kayfabe. They really stayed away from my involvement. Then there's also the issue of the media blackout on my work with Billie Eilish.
I don't know this one.
Oh, of course you don't know this one, because the mass media has made a point to keep this out of the press. So when they're talking about Billie and they're like, gee, why is Billie's lyrics so dark? Gee whiz, why would her lyrics possibly be dark? Gosh, I don't know. Has anybody seen the opening credits to the American Horrors television show with a bunch of bloody little girls running around and drinking tea and bloody feet and a bloody butter knife? Billie Eilish grew up next door to me. Yeah.
You're crazy.
Billie grew up next door to me with Finny. I know Finny and Billie very well. I know their parents very well. I am Billie Eilish's first director, especially her first horror director. I directed her in the opening credits of American Horrors. I directed her in a music video for Herd the Humans called Hollow, and she plays Death. And Billie and Finny were always amazingly talented. Both those kids were always amazingly talented. And our neighborhood was a very dangerous, gang-ridden neighborhood. So they were homeschooled, and their mom and dad, Patrick and Maggie, they kept a good eye on those kids. They really did. And so those kids were homeschooled. You know, they had an interesting growing up and working with me. I got lots of footage I haven't released yet of really cool, neat stuff we did with Billie in her backyard and some of her best friends and a little tea set, you know. We're working on that. There's a documentary in the works about my life, and we're probably going to include that in there. There's a book being written on my life by Lance Poland. He's been working on that for a couple of years now. The American Horrors channel is absolutely killing it. We had 8 million viewers last year with an average watch time of 28 minutes per viewer. As of right now in 2022, I believe right now we're at 1.5 million viewers for the year so far with an average watch time of 31 minutes per viewer. That's amazing. That's an amazing watch time. And I want to thank everybody who's helped me do this. I want to thank everybody at American Horrors. I want to thank all the viewers. I want to thank all our sponsors and advertisers because we're only getting bigger and better. And the thing with Billy, I knew she was going to be big. I said it. I said it to people. I said it to friends. I saw something in her, and that's why I cast her. That's why she has these piercing eyes. And she can actually really sing. She's got a beautiful voice. And Finney is a fantastic musician and composer. So I'm kind of curious to see where her career is going to go when she's out from under the clutches of her mother, when she starts becoming an adult, away from her family and creating for on her own terms. That's going to be really interesting to see the evolution of Billy. And I'm looking forward to the next time I get to talk to Billy and Finney. I haven't seen him in a long time since I moved out of LA, and I'm looking forward to seeing him again and talking with him.
Oh, that's cool. That's actually dope. Well, this was like a negative story, but it's a happy story. Like,
okay, you know, when you're neighbors, there's shit that goes down, right? So there's stuff that goes down, and frankly, I think her handlers are scared what I'm going to say to the press. I think they're terrified actually of what I'm going to say to the press, especially after what I just said about Gary. But Billy never did anything like that to me. You know, Billy was a cool kid next door, and Finney was, well, they were crazy, creative, very loud kids, and being
they didn't cross a
me
line
working from home.
with you.
Huh?
They didn't wrong you.
What?
It's a good way to say it, right? They didn't wrong you. They didn't cross a line with you.
No, not at all. Not at all. Never. No. And in fact, I was always rooting for them. Like when Finney had a band, I believe they were called Hollow Point Eyes. And so they were running around when he was in high school. And I thought they were pretty good. They were punky. And so I played them on my radio show. And I played them, promoted them on the show. And I used to have fun teasing them every once in a while. I'd have like a music celebrity like, hey, Finney, Danzig was here yesterday. You know what I mean? So no, I wish those kids the best. I wish that family the best. You know, as neighbors that are around each other so much, especially in like a neighborhood like that that's dangerous. You see a lot of stuff. I mean, they were kids. There was all kinds of different stuff I saw that I won't say that shit to the press. You got to let a kid be a kid, man. You got to hold your water. If you want to make it somewhere in entertainment, I'm gonna walk away from saying anything nasty. I'm gonna walk away from saying like telling an embarrassing story. You know what I mean? Like something that's really humiliating. I'm gonna stay away from that. Let the kids have their privacy as kids.
Yeah, that's a really interesting position because obviously there's certain things that are private in my life, and I do my best to hide certain things, and certain things are well known about me. And, you know, obviously if I have a kid and, you know, if I'm going to have children at some point, you know, and they're sort of going down a path, I'm hoping that where I live and my neighbors have some decency to understand the difference between shutting the fuck up about certain things and not selling all the secrets for a quick buck.
Well, like right now for myself, okay, I'm in Lake Geneva and I'm in it's kind of a small town and I'm not used to that. You know, I'm used to like Chicago, I'm used to Los Angeles. And so dating after my wife's death has been weird. Like dating here and being the person that I am, it's been very odd. And I don't like to talk about it online. I don't want to broadcast it. So I very rarely talk about my significant other or who I'm dating. Or I kind of leave it out because frankly, as a public figure, I have had a lot of people, a lot of busybodies have put their nose into my relationships with my ladies. And so there's lots of gossip. There's lots of bullshit. You see it with Facebook.
Well, we're not going to press that.
Yeah.
We're not going to press that.
Not just the press, just people. Like,
well, I'm not going to press into your personal life in that regard.
Well, I know what I mean is I'm keeping that to myself so that I can have a bit of a private life. And so the person I'm seeing can also have a private life without somebody barging in and going, how can you date that evil, terrible human being? What's wrong with you?
I'm sure you know who John Cena is, right?
Mm-hmm.
The reason why John Cena and Nikki Bella didn't work out is John Cena is such a public figure that Nikki Bella wants to be in the spotlight all the fucking time. And there's nothing wrong with that. If that's what you want in your life, that's awesome. John Cena's like, I'm in the public spotlight. I'm making a wish. I'm doing all these press shows. I sign autographs for fans, and I love that. But when I don't want cameras in my house. I want the little privacy I have left with my family. My family is complicated. My mom and my dad are complicated. My siblings are complicated. And the little bit of privacy I have left, I want to keep that. And that's why he married a particular woman who's from Iranian descent. And she's very much out of the public. And she's very attractive. But there's nothing in the news about her. There's nothing about their relationship that's public. And that's the whole thing. And so that's what people don't understand about public figures, I feel, is that depending on what you want to do and where you're at, some people have no problem having their marriage all out in the open, and a bunch of people are like, look, I want what little privacy I have left to remain private.
Well, it's not just that. People have actively tried to fuck with my relationships. They have actively inserted themselves to repeat malicious gossip, to flat out make up lies. Oh, did you hear what he said about you? He said this. And it's like, oh God, no, I never said that, for Christ's sake. It's not even a word I use. Get out of here. Stop. It's because I've had so many people mess with my women. Like, you know, I've had that happen quite often. One of the things that was good about my late wife, Waka was working in the music industry before she ever met me. So she worked for Burn Magazine in Tokyo, and she was a translator, translated a big book on Kurt Cobain, and she understood the music industry, and she understood celebrity, and she dated musicians when she got to LA. She normally dated bass players, and then we got together, and so she had a good idea of what it was to be with a famous person or a public figure, and she handled it really well. She really handled it well. And now that I'm here in this small town, and as I've been dating, I've had to try to explain to some of the folks that they're not in the industry. And I have to remind them sometimes. I'm like, hey, you're dating a public figure. You're dating a public figure. There's going to be people are going to interrupt our dinner. People are going to interrupt our date. People are going to come up and interrupt me at the bar. People are going to, if I'm doing karaoke, they're going to get excited and come run up on the stage and want to join in on the song. You know what I'm saying? And that happens often. And I'm like, there are going to be, also there are some obsessive fans. And I'm like, hey, you don't know what I'm protecting you from. I have some obsessive fans. I have some fans that, and thing is, there is no controlling these people. It ain't like I'm a Joker and I got a bunch of minions running around. There's no controlling these people. Once you are out in the public sphere, and as you get higher up, you become the public's play toy. You're not even real to them anymore. You're not a human being. You're like this play toy for them. And so sometimes I've been like, look, I'm trying to save you from some of this shit. You know what I mean? I'm trying to save you from somebody grabbing all your old photos and making terrible memes with them. You get what I mean?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. In which that I am not a public figure by any stretch of the imagination, but I know exactly what you're referring to. I don't think, and I mean, I just want to make money and have financial freedom. No. That, and I'm doing it. I run an eBay business, and it's what's working, and so I don't care about fame as much as I care about being financially free, so I can say "fuck you" to somebody and not have to worry about the consequence. That's really what my goal is. Because when I could say "fuck you," I'm not concerned that if I was so beholden to sponsors, I would be terrified to do this interview. I'd be terrified to interview Mike Barron. And there's a few other people.
Mike Barron?
What?
Did you say terrified to interview Mike Barron?
Yeah, because of the recourse. But I'm not beholden. What?
Is Mike controversial now?
He did a book called Thin Blue Line.
Oh, I know about that book. It's about police officers.
Yeah, it's not a controversial book, but people are crazy and people want to.
He came out and he was pushing it, and he was definitely having his own reaction to the Black Lives Matter protests that were going on in the country. And I believe he wrote the book with police officers, didn't he?
What?
Didn't he make the book with police officers?
He did. He did. He made it with a police officer, and then I think a lot of money was donated to charity off the book. And it did okay on Indiegogo. It did amazing on Kickstarter. I mean,
I'm
it did.
a huge Mike Baron fan. I'll just say it. I'm a huge Mike Baron fan.
I loved Mike Baron, but I'm terrified when I did that interview because guess what? Unfortunately, people will go after you, and I think there's people who'd have my back, but at the same time, I don't know who's going to have my back in a fight because I'm not all that big as a show per se at the moment. You know, I'm growing slowly, but at the same time, you never know what could happen, and somebody could be very nasty. It's happened before, but I love Mike. Mike's always welcome on my show. The idea is that if I was so beholden to sponsors, I would be terrified. But my sponsor doesn't tell me what to do because the only thing they care about is that I'm returning them money, and I've returned them like a 15x on what they paid me, which is great.
The way I pursued it is very simply, okay, all right, you're in show business, you're doing a show. What does the advertiser pay you money for? Access to your audience. Who built your audience? You fucking did. You built your fucking audience. So did the advertiser build your audience? No. Does the advertiser care about the needs of your audience? No. So fuck you. If you want access to my audience, go right ahead. I'll sell you the airtime. You could get on, you could be on American Horrors and promote what you're doing. No censorship. No fucking censorship. I just won't do starving dog ads, starving kids, and I avoid political advertising because I feel it splits the audience in half and you can't win. There's no winning with political ads. You're going to piss off half your people. So we look at it like I have assembled this audience. I have these viewers. I have this watch time. If you want access to that for your products, you'll pay me money for it. Now, if you think you're going to dictate content to me, you're a fool. You're a fool. The tail doesn't wag the dog. The dog wags the tail.
I mean, I could tell you I put a restriction on my advertiser, but it makes sense, the restriction saying I'm not going to have another printing company as an advertiser. Because that makes business sense. Because I'm not going to go pick up Comics Wellsprings, who is a competitor to Mixon, which is a printing company. Because that would be stupid of me at that moment. Where I'm not going to go in and play two sides against each other, which I think makes sense. But it's kind of like, you know, you might, if Coca-Cola came to American Horror, you might not want to bring Pepsi on. Because Coca-Cola might be upset.
I think that too is foolish because the audience has so many different needs and so many different desires. You know, I see nothing wrong with having a Coke commercial and a Pepsi commercial. I see nothing wrong with having a horror movie ad and then another horror movie ad.
Maybe it's a little bit different with printing companies, and maybe it's especially right now because I just made that call, but I got no problem having another company like a shampoo company, for instance, as an ad. I just made that call as a business because I think
I actually lost money by not taking political advertising. I lost money, but I felt it was more important for my audience and for the audience satisfaction that they need. American Horrors is a place where you can check out. American Horrors is a channel.
I'm going to challenge you by not taking political ads because you didn't turn off an audience. I think you made money because you basically said, look, I'm not going to subject you to the crazy hatred in politics. I lived in D.C. for 5 years. D.C. is a fun place to live. D.C. is not America. And I mean, it's America. You're an American citizen. But D.C. politics are not the same as politics in New York or politics in Pennsylvania. And
I was very politically active in Los Angeles.
And so it's a little bit different in D.C., it's all about trading and quid pro quo in a lot of ways. And it's what can I get? If you want your bill passed, what can I get out of that? A lot of stuff. I spent a lot of time in appropriations. I know how the money is spent in the government. For lack of a better word, I know how to legitimately where billions and billions of dollars go. every single year, and you'd be surprised. And I do not want to get 86, so I'm going to be quiet from here on out on that topic.
There's a reason why I shut down my political podcast, Heart Attack. I turned it off. I turned it off when Waka was getting sick. I didn't have enough time to do American Horrors, the radio show, and take care of her. And I found that the political show, while it felt good to go out and do some good, it felt good to achieve some goals. I was angry all the time. I was angry all the time. And I got tired of that. I got tired of it. I got tired of fighting with everybody all the time. I didn't like the person I was becoming. So it's like, I'm going to turn this off. And if I ever did podcasting again, I'd have to do it differently.
Yeah, I could have done a political show. I chose not to because while I think I would enjoy it, and I do enjoy politics, I enjoy legislation, I enjoy that, I also am looking to do something that when I have kids, I can teach my kids how to interview somebody. And I don't want to subject, if I have kids or even if I have an intern or even that, or teaching this and teaching podcasting, I want to teach something that's fun, that's like a skill. And if I'm to teach somebody how to do a political show, well, then they have to align with me politically. They then have to go through all that. Then they're going to get attacked. Even if 50% of the country agrees with them, there's going to be another 50 that doesn't. And then all of a sudden they're in a coffee shop and then they might get yelled at. And I don't want to.
That happened to me with the Rush Limbaugh Must Die book. I was at the Novi Expo Center in Detroit with my friend Dimitri Patelis, an amazing Greek artist. How you doing, Dimitri? Miss you, buddy. And Dimitri and I are sitting there at a pizza place in Novi, and I'm wearing the Rush Limbaugh Must Die t-shirt. And this old man comes up to me. He's got a big smile on his face, and he's like, I just wanted to thank you for wearing that shirt. I'm like, what? He goes, I just want to thank you for wearing that shirt. And he's shaking my hand, and he goes, so we know who the enemy is. Yeah. Now, that's in the 90s when I did that book. That's not even the radio show.
I could just imagine the scene. Like, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm like, well, thank you. Enjoy your pizza. See you later, buddy.
Yeah.
You haven't read the comic book. You don't know what's in it. How about this? Hey, Jagoff, who judges a book by its cover. Rush Limbaugh gave the book a thumbs up on the air and said it was funny. It. Yeah.
Well, I would ask you about Marvel, but we all know your opinion on that.
I don't know. They're digging their own grave. Disney bought them. Disney's whoring them out. I really enjoy the movies. I do enjoy the films. I don't. The wokeness is getting stupid. Hey, to the people at DC, you just lost your offices. Are you proud of how you've handled the company? You feel good about all that stupid woke bullshit that hasn't been selling at all? You happy? You drove your company out of business because you had to virtue signal so hard. Oh, let's virtue signal at DC and drive our business into the fucking ground. Hey, maybe I might be the one to buy your company up. Fuck Disney. Maybe I'll buy DC.
They've done like one thing right, and legitly one thing right. Derek Chu as a variant artist, because Derek Chu is fucking phenomenal as an artist. I liked
the James Gunn Suicide Squad film. That was great.
Oh, that was great too. I enjoyed James Gunn as a director, and I thought Peacemaker was good too.
I haven't seen that yet. I haven't seen Peacemaker.
I'm a John Cena guy. I'm required. I am legally required to say that John Cena and anything he does is great. That guy is a workhorse, though. I have a signed CGC grade comic by him that I paid good money for, and then I actually bought another one an hour later and then sold it for like 3 times what I paid for it. So,
wow.
but I love John Cena. I think John Cena is one of the greatest wrestlers of all time. And
maybe I should have you selling off the Boneyard Press collectibles.
What would you say?
I said maybe I should have you selling off the Boneyard Press collectibles.
I'm not opposed to it. I'm more than happy to sell anything you want me to sell on my eBay store. More than happy to.
I've got some really cool stuff. Like one of the things we just sold is we sold my original Jeffrey Dahmer Milwaukee's Best T-shirt that I used to wear. I just sold it to a collector in England.
Oh, that's cool. That's
cool.
cool.
So I've got cool stuff like that. Like if you want to have the Marvel Can Suck My Cock shirt off my back from the 90s, let's talk.
I'm thinking about it. I don't think my mom would appreciate me buying that, but I would totally wear it at a con. It'd be great.
It's the best, man. And you know, the reason I did Marvel Can Suck My Cock, because cock isn't a curse word, because if any parent has a kid goes, Mom, what's that mean? Well, you know, that's another word for rooster. So he's just making a joke about Marvel can suck their rooster. I gave him an out. And we went to war over this shirt year after year at convention after convention. And why did Hart do a shirt called Marvel Can Suck My Cock? Well, I did it because Marvel's business practices were designed to drive me as an independent publisher and Image. They were trying to wreck Image. They wanted to drive the independent publishers off the shelf. And at one point, they were publishing, I believe, 90 titles a month. They felt that they could push everybody out by sheer weight of volume of content. And instead, you had a bunch of stores that really got hurt buying crappy books that no one bought, that sat in a box in the back. And then after that, they bought Heroes World. And in many ways, Marvel is responsible. They did get their wish. They did destroy the independent market for a while. For a while, they were able to do it. And what they did is they bought Heroes World. Heroes World was the third largest distributor and they're based out of New York City. And they bought them. And they pulled all their books from Diamond and Capital Distribution, all the other distributors. So they started a distribution war where the distributors were all fighting and trying to sign exclusives with people. And it wrecked it because every time a distributor went out of business, so did stores. It isn't like, you know, Friendly Frank's went out of business and all of a sudden my orders from Diamond went up, whatever Frank's ordered. It didn't work that way. So Marvel is responsible for a large part of the destruction of the independent market in the late 90s and early 2000s. And I think the only thing that has saved the independent market and enabled it and freed it, and it's part of why I'm back, is crowdfunding. And in the past, I had really poo-pooed crowdfunding. But then when my wife was going through her cancer and there were certain medical treatments we couldn't afford, I did a GoFundMe to raise money to get her treatments. And that was successful. I ate a lot of crow. Ooh, I ate a lot of crow on that one. But you know what? When your wife's life is at stake, fuck it. Feed me more crow. Feed me more crow. If it's going to save my wife, fuck. Crow. Ooh, yeah, crow.
But also, you had a change of opinion and you evolved. See, I don't think it's necessarily crow per se.
Buzz, do you know the artist Buzz, B-U-Z-Z, Chinese guy?
I
used to do Vampirella for Harris. Well, Buzz was one of the first people like saying, Hart, you really need to do this. You've got a television network. You've got this reputation. You've got this library of content that's kind of been out of print. You need to do this. And I was very hesitant and I was very resistant to it. And then I kept talking to other friends in the industry. And I will admit that I saw the success of Billy Tucci and Brian Polito. Both these gentlemen I've known a long time, man. I've known these guys a long time. I had a lot of fun writing for Chaos Comics. I really enjoyed writing for Chaos. That was a lot of fun for me. I really enjoyed that very much. So I saw what Billy and Brian were doing with their fundraisers. And I called up Deborah, Billy's wife, and she walked me through the whole process. Thank you, Deborah Tucci, you rock! And she really walked me through the whole process. And the people in the industry have totally welcomed me back. You know, I've been so happy talking to so many old friends that I haven't seen in a long time, and I've really been excited about the people I'm going to get to work with. You know, like we've been talking to, like Max is going to write New Bill of Bull. So Max DeVille has been actively working on New Bill of Bull story. Me and Dan Fraga were talking about it, and he's interested in like a 5-page buildable. I want to pitch Mike Barron. I want to do a Build-A-Bull Badger crossover. Since I live in Wisconsin now, I think it's perfect. Build-A-Bulls from Chicago. The people up here in Lake Geneva have an issue with people from Illinois. They call them fibs. Fucking Illinois bastards. So there's this whole rivalry between Chicago and Wisconsin. So I think there's something there. So after I get the omnibus done, after I get Mike his copy of it, then I'm going to say, Mike, we need to do a Badger Build-A-Bull crossover for sure. And you guys heard it here first. We're doing Babylon Crush is the next thing I'm going to do. I'm finishing off Build-A-Bull right now. Then we're going to do Babylon Crush. That's going to be the next omnibus.
Yeah, no, it's I was very much against Kickstarter, and then I actually kickstarted season 3 of this show, and I was successful, and I was 114%. I was too shy away from 40, which I'm really upset about, because I was going to give away my first piece of original art, and I am not an artist. So it's an amazing piece of me doing a sketch and learning how to draw on my birthday by David Whalen. My friend David Whalen was teaching me how to draw. It's a really funny video of me trying to learn how to draw, but certain people did not like what I was doing. I'm like, why are you kickstarting a podcast and asking for money to support you and have guest spots and all sorts of stuff? And I'm like, well, you know what is everybody else
normal, isn't it? Isn't that normal for doing crowdfunding? Like, hey, I want to release a movie.
That's what I didn't understand. I'm like, you're charging for a comic book. I'm charging for an interview. Like, what's the problem? Like, I didn't get it, and I still don't get it. But the 38 people who supported me, you know, they come first. And, you know, I have their back. And anytime those people for the rest of the year want an interview, I mean, they don't have to keep throwing me money because they helped get me to the next round. And that's the key there for me in my life, is that I'm not worrying about money right now. I'm worrying about just surviving another year.
You know, it's a group effort, and like, okay, Max had his thing, Mary Machine Gun. I fucking contributed. I fucking bought some books. Billy had his thing for the She Omnibus. Fuck yeah, I was a sponsor. Hell yeah, I got mine.
I mean, look, I can't contribute to every single Kickstarter because money's tight in my world right now. But I try to contribute to as many of them as I can, or at least try to throw in $1, right?
Sorry, I had to get up just to say, hey, I got it. It's right here, guys. It's sitting in the Boneyard Press offices. That's where we are right now, guys. This is the new offices for Boneyard Press. Right where we're at right now is the lounge area where we watch American Horrors, take a break from work. It's a whole like furnished and developed loft. It's really neat. I feel like a kid in the Brady Bunch.
So yeah, no, it's I just didn't get why I was attacked by people, and there were people who were questioning.
Jealousy is not just for you and me. It's jealousy, my friend. Jealousy.
Yeah, I have a feeling people are pissed at me. So, but that's their problem, not mine. You know, they can deal with. Oh my god, that's so creepy. How it's just like fading in and out. No, it's their problem. It's not my problem. It is the way I see it.
Well, I think that the crowdfunding is so democratic. It is so awesome because in the old days you'd be dealing with distributors, right? And I'd have to cough up $1,000 or $2,000 to get a full page ad in the Diamond catalog. Then you'd need to get an ad in the Capital catalog, and that's going to be like $800. And so you had to cough up this cash just, and you're soliciting, and that's the only artwork or background that a store had to figure out, do I want this product in my store? Or for a consumer to go, hey, I want this comic book for myself. Now it's amazing, man. This ability to be able to like talk to the audience, this ability to have these various podcasters like what you're doing. This is really.
I'm not doing anything special. I'm just a normal average guy, just talking to people and hopefully trying to get people to buy more books from you and everybody else who comes on my show.
Well, that's what it's all about, is enjoying the work. You know, why did I buy the omnibus? Was it just about supporting Billy? No, I want to read it. I bought it because I didn't have all the She books. I got a bunch of the She books, but I don't have them all. So it was really fucking cool to get that. And Max, oh my God, if you're watching this, dude, when he was getting this together and he was so excited about his books, he wouldn't shut the fuck up about them. He just talked my ear off about it, just talked it off. He loves what he does. He loves these characters. He's way into the, what do I call it? The upskirt panty shot books.
You mean bad girl art?
That's not bad girl art. That's upskirt panty shot. Remember, I worked in adult films, guys. I worked in adult films. I worked in marketing sex. I know what my fetishes are. I know what sells. I know what doesn't sell. I was in the industry. I worked for Vivid Video. I worked for Max Hardcore. I worked with Randy West. I worked with JM Productions. I was nominated for Best Ad Campaign of the Year by Adult Video News at the AVN Awards. I worked in advertising and had a very successful career as a graphic designer in advertising. Yeah. You just keep finding out more crazy shit, don't you?
You need like another 10 hours. Easy.
we could have a whole show just on my adventures with Max Hardcore. Or my adventures with Rob Black at Extreme Associates.
I'm sure at some point we will.
My adventures with Skeeter Kirkove or Otto Bauer from Mach 2 Entertainment, Audrey Hollander, all my years of being a photographer for magazines. I was a director for a while. I went from advertising into directing, camera work, still photography. I almost became like the managing art director for several adult magazines in New York City.
And this is the day that my parents come down and then kick me out of the house.
Well, you know, it was a good career. I learned a lot as a graphic designer. It was fantastic. Bill Sampson from Sampson West Advertising and Jeff Lamb from Vivid, you guys both were instrumental in me growing as a graphic designer. You guys both pushed me, and I learned so much from you guys. And also Jim Keegan from Sampson West Advertising did the cover for Flowers on the Razor Wire number 11. Jim, wherever you're out there, I hope you're well, because you too also taught me a lot about being a good graphic designer.
Yeah, there's a lot. I'm sure at some point me and you're going to have a conversation.
Oh, and then I got to throw one out to Tim Vigil. I got to throw one out to Tim Vigil because Tim was the one who challenged me to learn how to ink with a brush. You know what I mean? Like, I was using Rapidograph pens. I was using steel quills and micron pens. And then he was just like, unless you master the brush, you're nothing. You're nothing. You need to master the brush. And he said it was supple like a woman. And that got me. I'm like, okay, all right. And so it changed my art. It changed how I did work. It changed so much about what I was doing with my art. So thank you, Tim.
Yeah, no, there's a million things that we could talk about from there. But I do want to change a little bit and talk about what's going on with you right now, because Bill the Bull is going on with you right now, and then Babylon Crush. Because I know you just ran
but we've been on the air long enough. Because we had so many technical difficulties, I powered through my giant cup of coffee. Let me have a quick pee break. I'll be right back.
Okay. Quick pee break.
Cup of coffee, man.
I'll play an ad from Cowabunga Comics, guys. So obviously Cowabunga Comics has a lot of cool stuff, and it's my friend, Kyle, and it's a shop down in Florida. And I'll put the link in the description after this goes off air if everybody wants to check it out. while we wait for Mr. Hart Fisher to come back, obviously I got this metal card, guys. You can pick it up off eBay. Descriptions, links in the description up above. I like metal cards. Obviously, this is a cool way to support the show. My friend DJ Croft, my logo right there. This will not be reprinted. There's 121 of these. I have 54 of them left. So obviously I got a whole stack of them. Obviously, you can see them all right here. This is some of them. And then this is a unopened, fresh pack right there of all the metal cards and all metal-y and metallic. So obviously, that's something that you could buy and pick up and check out and all that fun stuff right there. So that's something that you can pick up and buy and check it out. It's all shiny. It's all nice and pretty and all that stuff. So, yeah. Go buy my metal card, guys. I like to get paid.
Yeah!
I ran an ad while you were away. I'm just letting you know.
Well, I heard you yammering on, so it's all good. And folks at home, you're lucky I'm wearing pants. This is my first interview ever in sweatpants.
Well, we're glad you're wearing pants. You know, this is while this is an uncensored show, it is not a pornographic show. So I'm glad you're wearing pants.
You know, I posed nude for magazine covers before, right?
It's all fine. It's all fine. We're not here to judge.
I do this character for American Horrors where, okay, as a horror host, I want to do something that other horror hosts would be kind of nervous about doing. So I've got this character that my friends started calling Big Red, where I'm naked, covered in blood with a machete, and I'm crazy as fuck. And so I had already posed nude in a grocery store. I've posed nude at, you ever see the Big Lebowski?
Oh, yeah, I've seen that.
All right, so All-Star Lanes is where they had league night in the movie. That's where they bowled. So I was there with a couple of beautiful women dressed as Catholic schoolgirls, and I had a big fur pimp coat, and we were there on league night, and we got up alley all the way at the end, and I kept the coat on but opened it up, and I'm buck-ass naked. I got bowling shoes on. The girls are holding up bowling balls in front of my junk and shit, and we got league night going on behind us. It's pretty awesome.
Oh my God! Just this show just became very, very, very not PG.
Oh no, not PG at all. And that's the thing is so the character, when I did that at the grocery store, and then when we started doing it with American Horrors, it kind of made sense as this crazy, dangerous outlaw of comics to be like what's more. I found like after the movie Bad Lieutenant and the movie The Doors, I kind of found that in modern cinema, there's nothing more shocking than full frontal male nudity when he's flaccid. Scary. Ooh. Let alone covered in blood with a machete. So it's a character.
It's a whole different podcast interview. Completely like.
Well, you know, I'm the most petite, quiet little mouse of comics.
So I got another interview in like 20 minutes that I can get to.
Well, you want to ask me what am I doing now? Was your question, right?
Yeah. As much as I love talking about bowling balls and Full Frontal, he's a great character, guys, in Gundam. I'm just saying, Full Frontal is a great character. He's Char's reincarnation. But anyway, this is round 2, guys, in like 3 months from now. If you're down for it, we'll talk all about male nudity. I'm down for it. And we could also talk about how horrible Marvel is. Maybe we'll go buy DC together. They're having a spin-off anyway. We all know DC's for sale. But anyhow, what's going on with Bill the Bull and also Babylon Crush and even, you know, Boneyard Press, because you're kind of back, and I think the anger is back a little bit too.
Well, okay, my favorite line in all the Marvel movies is with Mark Ruffalo playing Hulk. And they're like, how did you change so fast? And he goes, I'm angry all the time. I'm angry all the time. And now with where I'm at in my life, I mean, I've achieved a lot, you know. I'm really excited about doing Boneyard Press again. I walked away from it for a long time. And now the Buildable Omnibus has been so much fun to do. It's been so much fun to do the podcast. And I found the original Buildable comics I drew as a child at my mom's house in the attic. She had kept all my artwork since I was like 5 years old. So that's pretty cool to bring back the original Buildable comics I drew in high school. And that's part of what we're doing with the Buildable Omnibus. The Omnibus is about 354 pages, and I'm just about ready to go to print with it. We've had a lot of problems with trying to get the old Quark files opened up for the lettering and stuff. So the technical difficulties of getting them, because I want it to be the best it could be. I'm doing it so like people get like a Buildable Bible. And I want them to be like, wow, this is great. So I'm really working hard on making sure the artwork is great and looks good and is crisp. I've got Dan Plagle is rescanning in the art from Ginger Hill Attacks, the first Boneyard Press crossover, Buildables in it. So it's going to be in the book. We're probably going to be printing. I'm trying to get this thing to print right at the beginning of April. I'm trying to get it to print at the beginning of April. I've got, we're almost there on putting this thing together. And I found a lot of unpublished work. I found a bunch of stuff in my boxes of more Buildable art that's not in the Omnibus that never saw print. I've got a bunch of original John Cassaday pages that aren't finished. It's a 10-page Buildable story, and I've got 5 pages of unpublished John Cassaday art. We're going to bring back the lineup. So the next Kickstarter is going to be, most likely, we're looking at May. We're looking at May. It'll be our 31-year anniversary in May, and we're looking to do Babylon Crush next. And one of the things I'm excited about is, there's all this talk about alternative characters and their idea of dealing with homosexuality or dealing with transgenderism is to take an established character and just put a new head on him. Well, Babylon Crush was based on all the dominatrixes I knew in Los Angeles. So Babylon came out in 1995. And it was about a lesbian vigilante, an out lesbian vigilante, and her punk rock lesbian vigilante group were going after sex predators that got away with it. And that's what they were doing, is going after these sex predators. And there's some funny stuff in there too, but I feel like Babylon never got the credit that she deserved. It was a lot of fun to do. And
I'm sure we're going to talk about this in May, without a doubt. We have to.
Oh, yeah. It's based on the designs of Varla Vortex, who was married to legendary tattoo artist Bob Bessels. And she had a whole Betty Page thing. She was a fetish designer. And so her buddy Barb was the Duchess de Sade. And Barb is no longer with us, but Babylon's costume was based on the Duchess de Sade. I loved Varla's designs. I loved this costume. And so she was also a member of the legendary Hollywood horror punk band Haunted Garage. And so I felt it was appropriate to bring back Babylon because, like, Barbara's gone. I don't know where Varla is in her life. I haven't talked to her in a long time. And the character is really strong. It's a very strong woman. The art is fantastic. Thomas Derenick, Dan Plagle, a bunch of other great guys too. It's going to be a lot of fun to put that out. And it's going to be easier to do than the Build a Bull, because I started Boneyard Press in 1990 with Build a Bull. So I'm dealing with a lot of old art material that I'm doing my best to like make it look good. You know what I mean? Make sure it's going to reprint well. And so Build a Bull is going to go to print soon. Then we're doing Babylon Crush. And when we get to Dark Angel, I'm going to do something neat. I am advancing these characters 20 years. When we come back to Boneyard after the reprints and we get into the new stories, I'm aging the universe 20 years. So the universe is now, and it's aged. The characters are older. They're not this eternal youth bullshit. They're older. And I've got an amazing amount of writers and artists that have all been working with me. I've got this great feminist journalist who has been working with me on new Babylon Crush stories. So it's going to be really good to have this badass feminist journalist helping me with these books. And we're going to be dealing with like real crimes about real sex predators. And it's going to scare the shit out of people. It's going to surprise people. But the Omnibus is going to be the first thing with that. And when I do Dark Angel, I'm going to do a live broadcast where I'm going to do the first new Dark Angel drawings live in my sketchbook from college that I haven't drawn Dark Angel in over 20 years. So I'm going to do it live for the first time.
It's going to be something really, really cool, and I'm looking forward to it. So
I'm trying to do new things. I'm trying to do exciting things. I love comics. I love comics. I love comics. So I'm trying to do stuff that's original, and it's going to invigorate the brand, invigorate the industry, and have some fun.
Man, I now want to get in and really focus on writing, and you're inspiring me. I can tell you that.
We're looking for writers.
Oh, I want to write my own stuff, but I'll try writing Build a Bowl or anything. I'll try writing anything at that point.
One of the coolest things about doing the new stuff and what we've been doing with like Max DeVille is, okay, Max was a fan of Build a Bowl when he was in high school. And Max used to skip school, smoke weed, and read Build a Bowl. He's an adult, and he's going to be writing the first new Build a Bowl stories. We already plotted out the first 20-page story. We'd already been working on it. And Build a Bowl is going to become a independent, a private contractor in the Iraq War. So Max is going to be writing about some of his wartime experiences in the guys with Build a Bowl. So this shit is going to be off the fucking hook. Because what I told Max is, I'm like, I don't care about the woke. I don't care about Twitter. I need you to be honest to your experience in the war. I need you to be truthful with what you went through in your sacrifice for our country. So if anybody has got a fucking problem with your truth, fuck you. It's his truth.
Well, on that note,
he got his ass shot off. He's going to write what he wants to write, baby.
Oh, I love it. You know, and I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, I'm definitely going to be looking out in May for Babylon Crush, and I'm definitely putting money aside for that shit. But
I think we're going to probably launch May 1st, or either May 1st or the end of April. Depends on how soon I can get these Buildable Omnibus books shipped.
Yeah, there's a lot of shit going on, and obviously I'm probably gonna have you back on in May if you're down for it. We'll talk about everything, anything, and again, anything you want to say is fine. So, but I do want to give you a chance to promote yourself. Where can people find you? Where can people support you? Where can people pick up Build the Bowl and all that fun shit?
Well, we've revived the website. We're redoing BoneyardPress2020.com. We're updating it right now. That's why it's off. So there's BoneyardPress2020.com. There is the Boneyard Press 2020 Facebook page. And if you want to see my videos, go to youtube.com/Crime Pays Hart. If you want to watch my television network, American Horrors, it's free to watch worldwide on Roku, Glued.tv, online at AmericanHorrorsFilmFestival.com. And soon, AmericanHorrors.net, because we got locked out of the .com. We got ransomed out. And also the Boneyard Press 2020 site's coming. We're working on the store right now. So we're doing the store like literally this fucking week. We're adding like 211 cool fucking products and coffee cups and T-shirts and mouse pads and puzzles. All kinds of cool shit. It's all going to hit this week.
So go buy the fucking merch, right? Like, seriously,
baby. Gotta fly the flag. Fly the flag, guys. Fly the flag. And right now, if you want to, we've got T-shirts for the American Horrors Film Festival. They're for sale. Hit me up online. They're reasonably priced. Only shipping to Canada and America.
So obviously, go buy the merch, everybody. Go support indie, and I'm going to keep saying it. I've been saying it. This is my 300th episode. I've been saying it for 300 damn episodes, that you have to support indie. And what that means is you got to buy indie comics. You got to support Kickstarters. You got to buy merchandise. You got to buy anything that an indie comic producer, creator puts out there, either at a con, online, DM them on Facebook. If they sell on eBay, go buy their shit, because that's how comics gets made. And it's very important. As far as I'm concerned about me, obviously, I'm an independent podcaster. I appreciate donations on Buy Me a Coffee. I appreciate people buying from my eBay store and buying this sweet metal card here. It's $10. Go actually support me. There's only 54 of these I have. My business partner, on this card is DJ. He has 60 of them. So you can hit me or DJ up, and you're supporting indie cosplayers, somebody like me, you're a podcaster. I have another cool metal card out there as well on my eBay store, so you can go check that out. But I really appreciate shares, likes. Hit me up on Facebook. If you're interested in being on the show, again, you know, a donation of whatever you think is appropriate helps keep this show active. So I appreciate it. Also, use my sponsorship codes and all that fun stuff. So it goes a long way. And on that note, because I got another interview that I got to be in 5 minutes, I'm going to give you the final word.
Ladies and gentlemen, tune into American Horrors on Easter weekend to see more of Halloween Strikes Back at American Horrors, as American Horrors continues to carve out the holidays back for Halloween. Halloween is fighting back against Christmas, against Easter, against the 4th of July. Well, not the 4th of July. We like the 4th of July at American Horrors because that's when all the campers come to Camp Crystal Lake and get killed by sad Jason. So on Easter weekend, we have a very special American Horrors Film Festival broadcast in which we're announcing all the winners from last year's 5th annual American Horrors Film Festival, interviews, specials with Gorecast, and me as sad Jason. Jason's dumber younger brother, who's really sad because all the campers left Camp Crystal Lake and there's nobody to kill. Tune in. American Horrors, Easter weekend, Roku, Glue.tv, AmericanHorrorsFilmFestival.com, and hopefully AmericanHorrors.net will be up by then.
I don't think I could have said it any better myself, everybody. That's a wrap.